Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has told the United States he opposes the establishment of a Palestinian state. NATO announced on Thursday a new military exercise intended to deter Russia from attacking a member state, set to be the largest since the Cold War. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has told the United States he opposes the establishment of a Palestinian state, even once the conflict in Gaza comes to an end. Many are urging the revival of the long-dormant two-state solution, but Netanyahu remains defiant, vowing to press on in Gaza until complete victory.
בכל הסדר בעתיד הנראה לעין, עם הסדר, בלי הסדר, מדינת ישראל חייבת לשלוט ביטחונית על כל השטח מערבית לירדן. זה תנאי הכרחי, וזה מתנגש עם רעיון הריבונות, מה לעשות? את האמת הזאת אני אומר לידידינו האמריקנים, ואני גם בלמתי את הניסיון לכפות עלינו מציאות שתפגע בביטחון ישראל.
Meanwhile, Kafir Bibas, the youngest Israeli held in captivity in Gaza, celebrated his first birthday in captivity. Kafir, his brother, and his parents were captured during the 7th of October attack by Hamas. In Tel Aviv, hundreds of people gathered in orange, the same color of Kafir's hair, to celebrate on his behalf. There was no word Thursday as to whether medicines that entered Gaza in a deal brokered by France and Qatar had been distributed to Hamas hostages or Palestinian civilians. The agreement was the first to be brokered between Israel and Hamas since November. NATO announced on Thursday a new military exercise set to be the largest since the Cold War. Steadfast Defender 2024 will start next week and run through until May. The unprecedented exercise will feature more than 90,000 troops from all 31 alliance countries plus Sweden.
The big difference with a year ago, I would say, Terry, is that there's a lot of things that have happened in the armed forces and in the defense organizations. What hasn't happened is in our societies the understanding that it is more than the military that has to be able to operate in a conflict or in a war. It is the whole of society that will get involved whether we like it or not. I'm not saying it is going wrong tomorrow, but we have to realize it's not a given that we are in peace. And that's why we have the plans.
The simulated conflict is intended to deter Russia from targeting a NATO member state, though the Kremlin denies having any such intention. One practical goal of the drills is to work on fast troops deployment from North America to Europe. A NATO general said the exercise will be a clear demonstration of our unity, strength, and resolve to protect each other.
Germany's governing coalition has accused the far right of advocating Nazi ideals. This after local newspaper Correctiv reported that members of the Identity Movement and Alternative for Germany party attended a meeting last November to discuss the deportation of millions of immigrants, including German citizens.
Sie sind ein Wolf im Schafspelz, aber ich sage Ihnen, Ihre Fassade beginnt zu bröckeln. Das wahre Gesicht der AfD kommt für alle sichtbar zum Vorschein und wir werden deutlich machen, was das für eine Ideologie ist, die sie verfolgen.
German Interior Minister Nancy Faeser told journalists that there was a, quote, clear attempt to define ethnically who belongs in Germany, meaning the deliberate pursuit of Nazi ideologies. AfD has denied any involvement in the meeting.
Ireland's Prime Minister believes EU countries will find a way to give Ukraine a €50 billion fund currently being blocked by Hungary. The aid will provide Kyiv with long-term financing during its war against Russia's invasion. It requires unanimous approval from EU members, but Budapest has vetoed the package. Leo Varadkar says the remaining states have a plan B.
The European Council will meet on the 1st of February. I believe it will be possible for us to agree that €50 billion package of grants and loans for Ukraine. If it is not possible for us to do it as a European Union, well then I think we'll have to do it as governments. Hopefully it won't come to that. I'd much prefer us to see us do it on the basis of unanimity, but we have to have a plan B and a fallback option. And to me that would be the governments that are willing and able to continue to support Ukraine, and that's the vast majority of governments in Europe would do so on a multilateral basis.
Prime Minister Viktor Orban has refused to greenlight the Ukraine assistance amid a row with Brussels over Hungary's access to pandemic recovery funds. Negotiations are underway ahead of the coming EU Council meeting.
After an intense couple of days and thousands of conversations about all the topics you could possibly imagine, the World Economic Forum's annual meeting here in Davos is starting to wind down. To find out what brought people here in the first place and if they're satisfied with their takeaways, we were talking to people on the main promenade just outside the Congress Centre.
I think there's a chance to find some ethical solutions to the AI dilemmas we're facing, and I hope that the people here will be inspired to open up to each other and find some good bridges across science and industry and governance.
What is the sentiment here? I find that it's much more optimistic than I would have thought before coming, and people are really looking at AI and new technology and innovation as a way to solve many of our problems, whether it's climate tech problems, whether it's, really being an engine for growth, for economic prosperity, for bringing people together. I really think it's more optimistic based on the technological innovation we might hope to see.
I'm excited to see more institutional allocators talking about how to allocate to climate finance for climate action, and I think that can truly move the needle, because we definitely need institutional capital partnering with governments to de-risk climate finance projects.
So it seems like the future of artificial intelligence and the actual positive role that it can play in our lives was one of the key themes for the majority of participants that we met here on the last day of the World Economic Forum. But the challenge, of course, now will be to get the regulation right. Maeve McMahon, Euronews, Davos.
The US military's fired a fourth barrage of missiles at Houthi targets following the Yemeni group's latest attack on a commercial ship in the Red Sea. The Navy said missiles were fired from ships and submarines in the region and hit 14 military targets that were preparing to launch further salvos at merchant vessels. The Pentagon says Thursday's airstrikes were also aimed at the Houthis' command structure.
In our assessment, we hit what we intended to hit with good effects. Again, the objective here was to disrupt and degrade Houthi capabilities to conduct attacks. And we believe that overall, in terms of the scope and the number of strikes that we took, we have degraded their ability to attack.
Attacks by both sides have increased in recent days, including attempts by the Houthis to hit US and British naval ships. Washington has now designated the Houthis a global terrorist group. The Houthis claim they're attacking Israeli-linked vessels in support of Palestinians in Gaza, but some have had no connection to the country.
The Portuguese government has announced new water consumption restrictions to combat the severe drought afflicting the Algarve region. To preserve the limited water reserves, municipalities will have consumption quotas. The agricultural sector will see a water cut of 25%, while the urban sector, including tourism, will see a reduction of 15%. Failure to meet the targets for 2 consecutive months will lead to penalties. The measures should come into force within 2 to 3 weeks.
Clashes erupted in Athens after students protested against government plans to allow private universities to operate in the country. Student unions argue the move would devalue degrees from public universities and exclude those who can't afford private education. The government said it would attract more foreign students and provide options for those who want to remain in the country rather than study abroad. The Greek School Teachers Union said it supported the public character of universities.
I vote Geert Wilders. Yeah, I think most of his ideas, but not all of them, are okay.
I understand why so many people in Dutch voted for Wilders.
He can change. He can change.
Je suis au marché central de Rotterdam, deuxième ville des Pays-Bas et l'une de celles où le leader populiste Geert Wilders a fait l'un de ses plus beaux scores aux dernières élections. Inflation, immigration, crise du logement, je suis venu explorer les causes du spectaculaire virage vers l'extrême droite des Néerlandais.
Something has to change in the Netherlands. In a few years I want to buy a house, but nowadays in the Netherlands it's very hard to buy a house. So the elections are good for me.
Zorg is duur.
Ja, dat is duur.
Ja,
Heel
van
duur.
pensioen, laag inkomen, hoger uitgaven.
Ja.
Wij zoeken allemaal acties, waar de acties, kijk, nou snel mogelijk het nieuwe kabinet komen. Hè. De armoede een beetje verbeteren, naar omhoog trekken, meneer Wilders. Dat heeft hij beloofd. Nederland voor Nederlander.